Years ago, scientists reprogrammed the measles virus to heal rather than harm. Miraculously, they even cured cancer, but the breakthrough turned catastrophic when the virus mutated, spreading uncontrollably and transforming most of humanity into dangerous mutants known as dark seekers. These creatures thrived in darkness, feeding on the living, but sunlight was their greatest weakness. 3 years after the outbreak, New York City had become a wasteland, its streets overrun by wild animals. Robert Neville, a former Army virologist, was the city's sole survivor. His only companion was his loyal German shepherd, Sam. Together, they navigated the eerie streets. Sam was not just a pet, but a vital ally, helping Robert hunt animals for food. Despite his desperation, Robert's humanity remained intact. He would even let a family of lions enjoy their meal undisturbed if they were hunting nearby. His survival depended on strict routines, including setting an alarm on his watch to avoid being outside after sunset. When the alarm sounded, Robert would return to his fortified home. Every evening, he locked all doors and windows, bleaching the front steps to mask his scent from the dark seekers. Inside, he had stockpiled food and old news tapes to simulate a sense of normalcy. Music played softly in the background as he talked to Sam, cooked meals, and tried to forget the horrors outside. Despite his efforts, nightfall always brought memories of the outbreak. He would huddle in the bathtub with Sam, clutching firearms while the haunting cries of dark seekers echoed through the night. The outbreak had started with chaos. To contain the spread, the government sealed off Manhattan, streets filled with panicked crowds trying to escape. Robert had rushed to save his wife, Zoe, their daughter, Marley, and Sam, who was just a puppy then. He wanted them to leave the city while he stayed behind to study the virus and find a cure. Zoe was furious at his decision, and their heated argument nearly caused an accident. In the end, they made it to the evacuation site where chaos reigned. A medical scan falsely flagged Zoe as infected, causing panic, but a second scan cleared her. As an army family, they were placed on a helicopter. Robert stayed behind, saying a tearful goodbye to his family. Before they took off, Marley made a butterfly shape with her hands, a gesture of love that lingered in Robert's mind. Now, years later, Robert hadn't given up on finding a cure. Each morning, after exercising with Sam, he worked in his basement lab. The virus hadn't affected him due to his immunity, but Sam wasn't allowed in the lab for safety reasons. Robert experimented on rats infected with the virus, injecting them with various serums. Most attempts failed until one day he noticed signs of improvement in a rat. This small victory gave him hope to test on a dark seeker. In addition to his experiments, Robert maintained a semblance of normal life. He visited a video store where he had arranged mannequins to mimic social interaction. He talked to them as if they were old friends and jokingly flirted with one, promising Sam that he might flirt back someday. He also tended a small vegetable garden in a park and kept track of houses he'd scavenged for supplies. Some discoveries were heartbreaking: empty nurseries and remains of families who had given up. Each day ended with a visit to the South Street seaport, where he broadcast a message inviting any survivors to meet him. One afternoon, Sam spotted a deer and the two gave chase through the streets. The deer darted into a dark building, and despite Robert's calls, Sam followed. Knowing the danger, Robert hesitated but couldn't leave Sam behind. He cautiously entered the building, flashlight in hand. The silence was nerve-wracking, broken only by unsettling noises. As he climbed the stairs, he found a dead deer, and nearby, a group of dark seekers standing ominously in the shadows. Robert quickly turned off his light and backed away. Finally, he found Sam hiding under a desk, terrified. Just as he tried to coax her out, a dark seeker attacked. Robert fought it off and escaped with Sam, narrowly avoiding more dark seekers as they pursued him. He lured them into the sunlight, which killed two instantly, allowing him to escape. Determined to continue his research, Robert set a trap to capture a dark seeker. Using his blood as bait, he successfully ensnared a female dark seeker. She had a butterfly tattoo, a detail that tugged at his memory of Marley. Back in his lab, he confirmed her infection with UV light and injected her with the serum derived from the rat. At first, her vital signs dropped to 0, but Robert revived her with another injection. Though progress was slow, this was a critical step forward. Robert recorded his findings, noting that the Dark Seeker's leader, an alpha male, had exposed himself to sunlight in rage. This behavior suggested that the virus had compromised their survival instincts. The memory of humans acting irrationally during the outbreak came flooding back, reinforcing his resolve to find a cure. Days later, while scavenging, Robert noticed a mannequin positioned oddly near a bridge. Convinced it wasn't his doing, he grew paranoid. Shouting at the mannequin, he fired his gun only for it to topple over. Suddenly, a car trap triggered, catching Robert by the leg. The Dark Seekers had copied his tactics. He hit his head and passed out as blood dripped onto the ground. Robert awoke to his alarm, the sun low in the sky. Injured, he cut himself free and dragged his body toward his car. Sam stayed by his side but froze when growling emerged from a building. The alpha male had unleashed infected dogs. As the sunlight faded, the dogs attacked. Robert fought them off but couldn't stop one from biting Sam. He carried her to the lab, desperately administering his serum. Cradling her, he sang to calm her, but the infection took hold. Heartbroken, Robert euthanized Sam, her loyal barks haunting him as she passed. Grief consumed Robert. Grief consumed everyone who is watching this story. Killing a dog in a movie is diabolical, man. He buried Sam in the garden and tried to return to his routine, but his spirit was broken. At the video store, he spoke to the flirting mannequin, finally breaking down in tears when it didn't respond. The weight of his loneliness and loss was unbearable. Despite everything, Robert continued his work, clinging to the hope that one day he could save what remained of humanity. The memory of his family and the love of his best friend, Sam, gave him the strength to keep going even in the face of darkness. Furious and filled with grief, Robert drives his car into a group of Dark Seekers at night, seeking revenge. He manages to kill some of them, but the others, led by their alpha, attack. They climb a light pole and bring it crashing down onto Robert's car. Trapping him, they overturn the vehicle. As Alpha enters through the window to finish him off, a sudden UV light blinds them all, forcing the Dark Seekers to retreat. Injured and dazed, Robert realizes someone has rescued him. A stranger carries him to safety in their car. When asked for an address, Robert groggily directs them to his fortified home and insists they avoid being followed. That night, Robert dreams of his family again. He relives the moment their evacuation helicopter took off, and the government bombed the bridge to seal off Manhattan. Chaos erupted as people tried to jump onto the helicopters. One of the aircraft lost control and crashed, killing Robert's wife and daughter instantly. Robert wakes up to the sound of a movie playing on his TV. His leg is stitched up, but he remains cautious, grabbing a gun as he investigates. In the kitchen, he freezes for a moment, imagining his family, but it's Anna and her son Ethan who greet him. They are the ones who saved him. Anna has prepared breakfast, and Robert reluctantly lowers his weapon to join them. As they eat, Anna shares her story. She and Ethan came from Maryland and heard Robert's broadcast at the port. They're on their way to Vermont, where a survivor colony is rumored to exist in the mountains. Anna believes the cold there keeps the virus at bay. Robert, however, dismisses her claims, angrily insisting everyone is dead. His frustration boils over, and he slams his plate to the floor, startling Anna and Ethan. Realizing he's on edge, Robert retreats upstairs to collect himself. After calming down, Robert returns and apologizes. To ease the tension, he mimics scenes from the movie playing on TV, which makes Ethan laugh. Robert admits the film is one of his favorites. He thanks Anna for saving him, and they continue talking. Anna explains that she was part of a Red Cross evacuation from São Paulo. Her group returned to shore for supplies, but was stranded when their boat was stolen. Out of 5 immune survivors in her team, all were eventually killed by Dark Seekers. Despite everything, Anna remains determined to reach Vermont. Robert refuses to join her, explaining that he's staying at Ground Zero to finish his work on a cure. Later, Robert examines the site where Anna found him. He notices the trap that captured him was made with tools stolen from his own traps. This unsettling discovery leads Robert to question whether Dark Seekers are evolving, a notion he refuses to accept, believing they lack the intelligence to plan or feel emotions. Anna, however, suggests they might be adapting. Taking a break, Robert, Anna, and Ethan visit a fountain. Ethan's playful complaints about the cold water spark an idea for Robert. Back at the lab, he places the female Dark Seeker, his test subject, on a bed of ice, hoping the temperature change will enhance the serum's effectiveness. While exploring the lab, Anna finds photos of previous test subjects, all human, and realizes Robert has tried and failed multiple times before. Later, Anna finds Ethan asleep on the couch. Robert offers to carry him to his daughter's old bed. Anna notices family photos, and Robert shares memories of his wife and daughter, Marley. He explains Marley was named after Bob Marley, a musician who inspired him. When Anna admits she's never heard of Bob Marley, Robert plays one of his favorite songs, passionately recounting Marley's message of peace and resilience. As night falls, Robert seals the windows. Anna tries again to convince him to join her and Ethan on their journey. When she says God told her about the survivor colony, Robert snaps. He yells, declaring there is no God, as humanity is either dead or turned into monsters. Their argument is interrupted by noises outside. The Dark Seekers have followed the scent of Robert's blood spilled the night before. Anna rushes to get Ethan while Robert activates the UV lights outside. The Dark Seekers, undeterred, destroy them. Desperate, Robert triggers buried explosives, killing many of the attackers. Searching for Anna, he's ambushed by Alpha. The two fight, with Robert stabbing Alpha with a screwdriver, but it barely phases him. Alpha throws Robert aside, who uses the opportunity to grab a hidden weapon. When Alpha dodges into another room, Robert shoots a gas cylinder, causing an explosion. Alpha retreats upstairs, and Robert gives chase, firing wildly until Alpha escapes through a window. Robert finds Anna and Ethan hiding under furniture as a Dark Seeker tears through the ceiling. Spotting a gun on a nearby table, Robert grabs it and shoots the creature before it can attack. Outside, more Dark Seekers led by Alpha gather. Robert, Anna, and Ethan retreat to the lab. In the lab, they're shocked to see the female Dark Seeker responding positively to the serum. The breakthrough gives them hope, but their relief is short-lived. The Dark Seekers break in, forcing Robert to close the glass door between them. He tries to reason with them, pleading that he can save them, but they don't understand. Alpha begins pounding on the glass, creating cracks in the shape of a butterfly. This triggers Robert's memory of his daughter's farewell gesture. Realizing what he must do, Robert quickly prepares a vial of the cure and hands it to Anna. He ushers Anna and Ethan into a safe chamber, sealing them inside. Taking a final look at a photo of his family, Robert grabs a grenade. As Alpha breaks through the glass, Robert charges at him, detonating the grenade and sacrificing himself to kill the Dark Seekers. The next morning, Anna and Ethan drive to Vermont. As they arrive, the gates of the survivor colony open, revealing a thriving community. Anna hands over the cure, ensuring Robert's sacrifice was not in vain. What is about to unfold now is the alternative ending of the story. The Alpha Dark Seeker smashes the glass with incredible strength, then pauses to draw a butterfly shape. Robert's heart skips a beat as he recognizes the symbol. It matches the tattoo on the female Dark Seeker. Memories of Marley flood his mind, and in that moment he realizes something profound. The Dark Seekers have feelings. They're not here to kill him. They're here to save one of their own. Slowly, Robert lowers his weapon. Ignoring Anna's protests, he turns off the machines and opens the glass door. He carefully carries the unconscious female Dark Seeker out, placing her in front of the Alpha. The other Dark Seekers grow restless, their fury palpable, but Robert stays calm. Taking a syringe filled with the serum, he injects the female Dark Seeker. Moments later, she opens her eyes. Alpha immediately leans in, gently rubbing his forehead against hers in a gesture of relief and connection. The Dark Seekers prepare to leave, the female now walking beside Alpha. Robert tries to apologize, but the only response he gets is another piercing scream from the Alpha. It's not forgiveness, but Robert understands. This city is their territory now, and he's an intruder. Accepting this new reality, Robert decides to leave New York with Anna and Ethan. The next morning, they pack up their supplies and begin their journey to Vermont. Before they leave, Anna broadcasts a new message over the radio, asking any survivors for directions to the rumored safe colony. Together, they drive off, hoping for a future where they can rebuild and heal. And now, my friend, you can continue with more interesting stories by just clicking on the recommendations on the right. Subscribe and drop a like to return for future recaps. Grab your popcorn, enjoy yourself, and see you soon, my friend.